Hey, Lindsay.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a sleepy day today. It's like gross and rainy out here. I think I'm a fair weather person. I always have more energy when it's sunny out. So like today, I just feel like I want to take a nap.
Well, pro tip that I will give the listeners and viewers out there, I nap often. And
oh no, hold on. My neighbors are here. I'm sorry.
Jesus. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I will definitely edit this part.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. One sec. Hi. Ça va?
We won't kiss you. If I drank some
Oui, merci beaucoup. Ah, des choses à faire.
Oui, c'est tous des articles intéressants et intelligents. Alors, bonne journée, désolée.
Oui, no, not a problem. Okay, that was quick. We're done. How do you like my French? It's coming along,
horrible. It's horrible.
It's better than it was like 3 months ago, I'll tell you that.
Ryan's really good. You're horrible at it.
He is really good. Yeah. He's been helping me along. But
So
I'm learning.
You're melting ice.
No, we're melting like sap essentially.
You're melting sap to make what?
Yeah. Maple syrup. I'm having
and
a
then
Canadian
are you gonna
day.
brew it? Are you gonna like sell it like Atkins' own brand?
No, so here, I can show you a little bit actually. So Ryan and I, as everybody sort of knows, almost everybody, we just moved to Quebec. And so we live on a co-op. So we have like 42 acres and it's actually shared with like 6 other homes. So this is where I am outside. This is our road. And so with the co-op, like we partake in all these different like, oh, hold on, I'm covering the camera. We partake in all these different activities together. And this year we decided we wanted to like do maple syrup. We also have like fruit trees and chickens and a veggie garden, which is part of the reason we bought it, because this is like how I've always wanted to live. But because we travel so much, it's just like not feasible for one person to be able to take care of. But so we just divide the labor between like 6 people, or the 6 houses who are like share the land, and then we like share the benefits. So we tap trees. This is a tapped tree, and so the tree like drips sap essentially into the bucket down here. There's also growth moth in that one. We do filter it, and then you have to collect the sap. And then we boil it down into maple syrup. We're doing it the old school way, which takes forever. So here is like, this is our shared building. And so these are like buckets. They're all full of sap. Our chickens are back here.
Hey, can you hang on one second?
Yeah.
Hang on one second. I wanna show Stacy this.
Cool.
I want to show Stacy this. So come over here, Stacy. I want to show you this. So say hey to Lindsay.
Hey, Stacy. Oh, she can't hear you.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Last time we talked was on the last podcast.
Remember the Creepy Toys podcast?
Are you doing your workout? You look like you're in the middle, like you look fit and like you're just like crushing right now.
She's strong though.
I'm getting lean right now.
Nice.
So they just moved to this place. They bought some land on this co-op, right?
Yeah.
So there's 6 other people there.
Wow.
And so like they're tapping the trees for the
maple syrup.
For the syrup.
Oh wow.
And they have chickens.
Oh my god.
And I was just thinking.
That's so cool.
And I was just thinking, that
wow.
That in what are you going to show us, the chickens?
Yeah, here's our chicken. There's only 4 right now, and guess who killed a chicken the other day?
Sunto?
Yeah. Get away! Go on! No.
Terrible, and you found it and all that stuff.
Also, the dead chicken's like in that bag,
were they
which we don't talk about.
Was the rest of the commune upset with you that your dog killed a chicken?
No, they were like, it's in his nature, but I was sort of upset. So, because we were here boiling down syrup, and I guess somebody had a guest over, so they came in to like show their guests the chickens, and then she left like the door open to the coop, and Cinto wasn't on a leash, so like Cinto came in and just like mucked the poor chicken, which I kept telling Ryan, like I didn't want him to know that they were in here, and like we had to keep him on a leash when he was around the coop because I knew it would happen. Like he's killed raccoons and turkeys and all sorts of stuff before. And then we sort of got more and more like relaxed about it as time passed. And then when we'd like come collect the eggs, like we wouldn't tie him up outside. Like we would tie him up outside, but we'd like bring him down here with us. And then when we were boiling syrup, we just had him in here, like not on a leash. And so I was sort of like pissed at us that we had like got too relaxed about it because it impacts everybody, right? Like it's not just.
I just think it's great that in 2020 humans can have an actual community, work together, do things that benefit the whole. I'm just fascinated by this. So let me ask you, when you guys were looking for a place to live, was it like just an ad, like, hey, do you want to live on this community property with us? Or did you guys know someone who lives there?
No, so I mean, well, it all started because like Ryan just really wanted to live in mountains and stuff. Like I didn't really want to move. But I knew that it meant a lot to him, and like he wanted other people to train with, and it's a really active community here. So basically like him and I were just like, okay, well, like what are the parameters around us moving? Like I wasn't willing to be a flight different distance from my family or his family, which we used to live right next to them. But like the big mountains in Canada are out west, which is like flying distance from our families. But the ones here are like a bit smaller, but it's only a 6-hour drive from like where we used to live. So we could rip home for a weekend if we wanted to. Anyway, so we basically like looked at a map and he pointed and was like, this is where the biggest mountains are. And so we came for like one day, checked out the town, like checked out this house listing, and then we moved. And it ended up actually like being really amazing. So I kind of agreed to it for the whole like property and co-op aspect of the whole thing. So when it wasn't in the house listing, but when we came to see the house and they showed it to us, they like explained how the co-op works to us. And I was like, apparently it's like a lot of people don't like that. Like it's either a selling feature or like a detract for people.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was so sold. Yeah, just based on that. So
do you all sell the stuff that you're like the eggs? Do you sell anything, or it's all just for you guys?
No, we just share it amongst ourselves. Like we don't really like get enough to be able to sell it.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean we could do twice as much work and probably be able to sell some, but like yeah. Everything here is pretty,
like the
like,
grocery
local.
stores and stuff. Like
It's like 10 minutes away. Yeah, it's not far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we go visit them, honey?
So it's not city whatsoever. It's like
no, not at all. And actually, like where we used to live was still up in the country, but like within 15 minutes we could drive to this town that had everything. Like it was kind of your one-stop shop. And but now like I'm getting used to, I mean like our grocery store is there, but it's pretty small, and like the hardware store is like a 30-minute drive, and you can't like do everything in one place. So like I'm adjusting to that a bit, but I kind of like it too because it's eliminated like stressful shopping days.
Do you have like a community for yourself? Like, do you have any girlfriends or anybody that you can hang out with there, or is it all just kind of like who's at the commune and Ryan?
Right. Like we're meeting people. Luckily, it's a really active community, and like luckily Ryan knows a lot of people through cycling who actually live in and around here. So like I'm just making friends with their girlfriends, basically. Every time he's like, oh, my friend, like, Pat wants to hang out. I'm like, does he have a girlfriend? Tell him to bring her. So, but the other issue is that, like, everybody speaks French. So for me, it's, like, a little bit harder because I have more of a language barrier. So sometimes, like, some days if I'm having a really good day, I'm like super into the challenge, and other days I'm just like overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm never gonna like make friends or learn to talk to people. But everybody's bilingual too. It's The problem is just that their first language is French, and I just don't want to like make them accommodate me forever. So, but it's kind of fun. It's like super fun to learn another language too.
Wow. So when you're having kind of a shitty day, it's because you're sort of lonely, or?
I think the brain is like the body, you know how your body just has tired days and off days. Like I'm really discovering that the brain has days like that too. And so, yeah, like today I was saying, I just feel tired today. And today's kind of one of those days where like, if I had to have a 2-hour conversation with somebody in French, I would like struggle a lot more than I would on a day when I had a lot more energy kind of. So, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But I like love it here. I'm super happy. So I think it suits our lifestyle really well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you guys, what's the word? My brain's tired too. Lindsay.
Podcast?
Yeah, I know. I get it.
For different reasons, because I'm starving.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, she's in prep right now. How many weeks are you away from the show?
10 weeks out.
And so she's starting to cut
That's
down
awesome.
and eat less and less, which is really, really hard, as you can imagine.
So are you like fasting right now, or are you just not eating as much as you would want to be eating?
Kind of both. I fast before I lift and do cardio, but I do an hour of cardio 2 days a week and lots of sprinting stuff. So
Oh man.
a lot of calories, but
yeah, totally. You know, I tried intermittent fasting, which is like this thing that everybody's doing. I tried it for like, I don't know. I think there was like a month there that I tried it out, and then I was just like, screw that. Like, I think maybe it works really well for some people, but it didn't work well for me. And I also like, I mean, I'm sure depending on which journalist you read, everybody has different info out there. But I was reading articles about how it's like really bad for women specifically. And so I was just like, that's what I wanted to hear. And so I used that as my excuse not to do it anyway. Anyway. But good luck.
Right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm great. I was saying that you know, we initially started talking about being tired and napping, and Stacy and I nap kind of on the regular, and I used to feel guilty about it. I should be doing more. I shouldn't nap now. I shouldn't do this, and like because of my mental health, it's become I just know how important rest is. Yeah. And I think there's a difference between, like, you could also use it the other way. Like, you could curl into bed and never get out, or lay there for hours and hours, but it's like, I put on a meditation app or nothing and set the alarm for 30 minutes, and I sleep, and I get up, and I get a coffee, and I go back to work. And I'm still asleep by, 10:30, 11 at night.
But you're a good napper. Like, you can fall asleep when you nap. I'm a terrible napper. I just can't.
Well, I would highly recommend finding something like that. So like, I use this thing called Insight Timer, and there's just 2 or 3 things I found. One is like a little music-y one. One is like a talking to me for 10 minutes thing. And I just kind of rotate around. And I've just learned to go out. If I get prone, if I lay back, I can sleep. I think just like some people can sleep in the car and some people can't, I'm someone who can. Planes I used to be better at. Planes I used to be able to sleep. Now I gotta be, they fucking come by all the time and it's harder. But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I think people are all about like grinding it out, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna take a nap.
Oh, like I know that naps are wildly beneficial, and like I use Headspace and stuff. I just like, and even if I put it on, like I just can't fall asleep. I'll lay there for, like, the other day I was really tired. I laid there for an hour and a half, and like it was restorative, but I wouldn't say that I ever actually like slept.
Yeah, but I think that's part of it. If you're not, as long as you didn't obsess about whatever training or what your races you're going to do or whatever it is that you obsess about, it's fine. Yeah. Like if you lay there and you put on the app and you're just kind of, not working, because for me, that's what it's about, right? It's like, I'm up, I'm in my phone, doing my business. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
So anytime you're not doing that is good, whether it works or not, whether the meditation quote unquote works or you sleep. It's about,
Right.
to me, it's about the break. So I think that's really what it's. But I mean, I just made some assumption that you obsess about racing. Maybe you don't. What are the things that you obsess about? What are the things that like kind of you find yourself worrying about, if anything?
Like what makes me stressed? I don't know. Like travel, I think, is the thing I'd say that I struggle with the most. You know, like every job has its pros and cons. Like that is probably the job con for me. Like I struggle with just being away from home so much, which as far as job cons goes, like not something to whine about. But in and around, like, well, when we travel a lot, I find like when we're in the height of race season in the summer, I get more like stressed because when you're home, there's like a timeline on everything. There's just a certain amount of things that you have to get done when you get back, and then there's a certain amount of things that you have to do before you leave again. And so when you're away like every weekend, I find that that's like when I can start to get pretty stressed out, just because I'm like, oh, there's so much to do and I don't have enough time.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I really like my routine, right?
Yeah.
I really like it. And as much as I think that I can adapt on the fly, traveling does upset that balance, especially with time changes, right? Like,
right.
I've learned that, you know, it's better to get in a day early, right? And then be able to, and then if you could fly home as soon as the event is over rather than, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's just, and that's just me just like working, like, it's just, you know, you're just off. Flying does stuff to you. You're just off. And simple things like finding food that I can eat, right? That kind of stuff that's important.
Oh, yeah.
So like with you guys, like, you know, the reason we were hanging out in Florida was because Ryan went to go get your guys' breakfast prepped for the night before. And, you know, I imagine that that's really hard, that if you've got a routine, you got a race day routine, and you're traveling massive time difference, then that would be stressful to be at peak performance.
Yeah. Right. I think we've done it for so many years now that that's like stuff like that is pretty routine for the most part. We figured out a routine. Like normally we get a place with a kitchen, but for whatever reason this time we didn't have a kitchen. So the hotel accommodated us. They had their kitchen like cook it for us, which I don't know how we swung that one, but that was sweet. So once I'm there, it's not really like, I don't find that stressful at all, but it's more just like the leaving prep or like being away from home type stuff. But
well, once upon a time I would just eat whatever, and I knew that people would, like, I'd see people do the Walmart run or the Whole Foods run, and I'd just be like, well, whatever, I guess I'll buy stuff while I'm here, but I don't care, because I would just eat anything. Right. Now that I don't just eat anything, it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want my fruit in the morning, and there's whether it's a nice hotel or a shitty hotel, you can't make an assumption that it won't just be bagels and eggs, and that's not what I want, and that's not what I want in the morning anymore. So it's like,
so what implemented that change for you? Like, was it your wife that got you on that, or is that because you're training for a marathon, or?
No. It's just this basic concept called fruit before noon. Haven't you ever heard that?
Called what?
Fruit before noon.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that for sure.
Okay, so it's just the way your body processes. It's just the way your body processes stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, I really like that. I feel lighter. I feel like I just had a banana while we were talking. And as much as I enjoy making 3 or 4 eggs in the morning, because that used to be what I ate, just maybe it's fucking mental, but I can tell you it sets my day better for eating.
Oh, totally. Breakfast is the most important meal. You're basically like a pro athlete, eh? Like between your napping and your like healthy breakfast and stuff, like, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Listen, there's no, I can tell you as a 47, almost 48-year-old man, I know what you're thinking, Lindsay. There's no way you're that old, Matt, but I am.
You do not look that old.
My wife is
and I'm not just saying that.
My wife is laughing in the other room because she knows how vain I am. When I started, so remember, I didn't find like running or anything until I found OCR in 2012, right?
Yeah.
So I was 40 then, right? And
Yeah.
there's such a massive difference between 40 and 47, like in terms of my body. Like even up until, I don't know when it switched, but I could still quote unquote run it off. Like no matter what I ate, I could run it off. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then one time it was like, oops, I'm 190 pounds. What the fuck happened? Right? So I can't just run it off. So yeah, I'm super, listen, it really helps that Stacy preps.
Yeah.
So I just eat whatever's in the fridge. But she's,
right.
but dude, she's, you know, she weighs everything. I don't weigh everything.
Right. But in terms of like nutrition and being driven, she's like a dream wife.
Yes.
Yeah. You found a significant other who makes you a better person.
Exactly.
Like so many people's goal in life.
Right. I think we should appreciate that more, shouldn't we? You and I?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Ryan definitely keeps me accountable is the word I'll use.
Well, I mean, I know you learn things from him, but I'm assuming you guys don't discuss. You just like, he's going to go do his thing. He's like, I'm going to go ride my fat bike today. And he does that. and then you do whatever you do that day. Like you guys it's part of your life, right? You hike, you do your thing, right? He doesn't give you a schedule, right?
No. Sometimes if we're like coming up on world champ season or something, we'll each put together like more of a kind of a structured training regimen, and that's when we'll like run things by each other and be like, oh, do you think this or this would be more beneficial? Or like, for example, before like our next race is the Seattle Super, which is 10K. So before he left on his trip, I was like, oh, what do you think I should do for training for like, you know, the next couple of weeks that's going to benefit me for Seattle? So we'll do stuff like that. But yeah, I think he's just like, the thing with him is he's, you know, a lot of athletes have days where they're tired and they don't necessarily feel like training, but Ryan's like an anomaly. He feels like going out every day, no matter the weather. He's like always stoked. And so he keeps me accountable, especially in the way that like when I just like don't feel like doing it that day, he's like gets me off the couch. Because I'll see him get dressed to go training and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it's 10:30 in the morning. Like he's getting ready to go out. Like I should probably get ready. Yeah.
Well, I think we've all learned that once we start, it's great, right? Like
yeah. Oh, totally.
When it's raining outside, that's to me the hardest time to start a run, when it's
yeah.
And then that first, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds to 4 minutes is horrible, and then you're like totally on fire about it, right?
Yeah. Sorry. I'm glad I'm not contagious through a phone.
Right, exactly. And you're like, this is the best. I'm the only one out here. I'm getting after it. This feels great. I'm in nature.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, once I'm out, like on a rainy day run, I love running in the rain. I don't know if you're the same way, but yeah, like sometimes getting out the door is hard.
Right. So this speaking of races, this leads us to the reason I messaged you, which is you said, well, you made a very confusing message that said, I'm not focusing on the US series, I'm doing SkyRunning, but by the way, I'm also doing the US series.
Right. Which has since been edited because
oh wait, can I read the updated one?
Yeah, I received a message from my sponsor, Spartan. We're not happy about the wording, which once I read it again, I was like, ooh, I can
Don't tell people you're not doing the series, Lindsay.
No, they kind of also just said the same thing. That just like the fact that I said that I wasn't focusing on it was.
All right, so I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it for those that have not followed you.
Sure.
Race schedule has come together! ! After Spartan Race Seattle in just over a month, I'll be changing my training up because, drum roll please, drum emoji. In addition to the US National Series, I'll also be racing the 2020 SkyRunning World Series. I'll be incorporating a lot of uphills and mountainous running. Then I'll give myself a bit of a break in August and September before ramping it up for the championship season in the fall. And then it shows the Sky races you're doing.
Yep.
And then hopefully you'll qualify for the Sky Masters final. So let's talk first about what SkyRunning is. Let's explain to people what that series means.
Yeah, so I think like in North America, it's basically known more as mountain running, is what we would kind of refer to it as. SkyRunning, sort of like a more European term. But yeah, basically, it's pretty like usually on pretty technical trails, although the courses vary. And usually the races are anywhere between like 25 kilometers and 60, I would say, though maybe sometimes longer. And they always go like
my audience is mostly American, so you need to convert that to US.
Okay. I don't really know my mileage. I'm not like
all right,
a wizard like that.
Let's do it together. If
okay.
if a 10K is 6 miles, 20K is 12.
Right.
So 25 is what is that, 15?
Well, I think so. A mile is like around 1.6 kilometers. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's just do some quick math. The first one you're doing is 56K.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. That is way out of my element, so that'll be interesting.
So that is 34 miles. So that's like a big. So we should have been able to figure that out, right? Because a 50K is 32. So 56K is 34 miles.
Yeah.
So it's like an ultra beast. No big deal.
Yeah. I'm like a lot more comfortable in and around the 25 to 35 kilometer range.
Right.
Let's say
25,
would be like
25K. 25K is 15 miles. Easy breezy.
Right. But the thing is, so most of these races are in Europe, and it's just like it's a lot of travel. And so I picked that one because it coincided with the one after, so I don't have to fly back home to Canada in between.
They're a week apart.
They're a week apart.
The one in Portugal and the one in Austria are a week apart. And
yeah.
Those Europeans, they are an intense group.
They are.
Like they will, if you're out there, they will like elbow the fuck out of you, like on the way up the trail, right? Like that's part of their race etiquette, right?
Yeah.
And you're like a sweet Canadian. So what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna have to get aggressive. I was surprised the last one I did actually how slowly they went out, but obviously like they've just raced a lot of them a lot more than I have. So maybe that's part of their strategy. Like I think this time I'll just sit back and like follow the people who usually are the leaders. So yeah, because I led for like the whole first climb and then eventually got past and then also like I was like, how come they are running so slow on the downhills? Like I was like, I know I'm a pretty good technical runner, but like they're going so slow. And then John Albin tells me afterwards that like it's a tactic, I guess, to conserve your legs for the uphills because the downhills like beat your legs up pretty good. And I was like, oh. So it's kind of fun to do these races where I still have like a lot of learning to do because I feel like in obstacle racing, I'm a veteran now. I have it all kind of figured out. But there's a lot like new race tactics that I don't know about. I follow the competition on Instagram, but like it's interesting to race with new people and get to know their strengths and weaknesses.
How many have you done previously?
Total 5, but really only one legitimate one. Two legitimate ones.
Because
okay, so I did the Whiteface Sky Race several years, which is in New York, but it's not that competitive, especially compared with like these World Series races. So the Whiteface race I won, I think I did that one 3 times, won it all 3 times by like a fair margin. And then, so when I raced in Italy last year at the SkyRunning World Series race, I was 6th. So like these women are crushers. So that's why I wanted to do more of them. I'm like pretty excited to race from, against people who are faster than me. Like,
hang on real quick. Can you hear me like a lot better now?
Yeah, I can.
I've been talking into the wrong microphone.
Really? That's incredible.
I'm going to need to do some work. when we
We've basically been FaceTiming.
when I edit this, there's going to be a lot to fix. I really hope this comes out. I really hope this comes out fine. Oh boy, that was really good. We've been talking for how long? Hang on.
No, am I gonna make you actually edit? This is gonna be like the first episode you've basically ever edited.
Can we please squash that rumor right now that I never edit? This is so not true about me. It was true for a very long time.
You told me that. Okay, yeah, you told me that like 2 years ago.
But getting back to what I'm saying, so how did you do in the two that you consider legitimate?
So yeah, the first one I consider legitimate was the one in Italy, Livigno Sky Marathon, which was called. And I actually felt really terrible that day. I had a lot of fun racing because it was like so scenic, like the coolest course I've ever done. Really like technical ridges. So SkyRunning, yeah, basically they focus on vert. So there's a lot of uphill, like thousands of meters typically. I think this one is about 3,000 meters of climbing. And then there's like really technical ridges at the top where you have to use ropes. And then we got to run down this avalanche chute, which was super fun. Just like glissaded the whole way down. So,
and how did you tell me how you finished though? Like what place did you come in?
I finished 6th, and everybody like who does the races normally and helps, put on the races and stuff seemed to think that was like really good. But I don't know that I was like, I think I had a much better performance than me. I just like had a really terrible day, and I've been eating so much Italian food like for a week, so because I was there on holiday and I wasn't really like willing to sacrifice. Like I definitely wasn't eating normally, which after 2 weeks of like kind of not your normal diet, not your normal sleep patterns, not your normal training, like it's gonna leave you feeling different for sure.
So even though it's a new sport, for someone that's used to finishing, let's just say first a lot, second, third sometimes.
Yeah.
How did you take a 6th place finish? Were you like devastated, or were you like, okay, my first time out, like whatever?
I mean, I was stoked. Like it was like a really incredible experience. I was bummed that I went all that way to have a bad race, but also it was sort of my fault because I didn't really come into it like focused in terms of prep and nutrition and everything. But yeah, I mean, I was still happy. I definitely still wanted to do more of them. It was just like a feeler race. Like I'd never really done one before. So,
how deep are the payouts?
I made money. I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't a ton. Like it's not as deep in an OCR. So for example, if you win the whole SkyRunner World Series, like it's basically it's the same as the US Series, where it's a culmination of races that give you points and stuff, and then at the end there's a winner. And the whole series, if you win it, pays out 10 grand to like the male and then 10 grand to the female, which like, I mean, Spartan pays 20 in one race at their world champs. So, although the Spartan race series, I guess if you win, is around 10 as well.
10 or 12 or something.
Yeah.
No, 12 is the North American one on its own. So you wanted to do the US series, be able to do this in between, and then come back and do Tahoe and Abu Dhabi. That's the plan?
Yeah. I mean, I won't really be doing this in between. Like there will still be like US series races happening. Well, I'm doing 4 Sky races, and I think in between them there's Utah, which is part of the US series, Montana. I think that's it.
No, but that is the US series.
Right, exactly. So there's still 2 US series races that are gonna take place while I'm like focusing on my training more or less on sky racing. So I think it'll be okay because like the way I see it is, I mean, I'll be doing lots of training for these sky races. It's going to be focusing on uphill, but like Montana and Utah are both uphill courses. So, and like if I'm motivated to train and I'm like, you know, doing lots of it and it's, you know, I'm stoked, then I think that'll pay off well in the US Series races too. So I'm not really, yeah.
If you start doing really well over there, you might be able to get a whole new batch of sponsors too, right?
Maybe. That's like, I don't know, like I kind of did want to build out a trail running resume and like mountain running resume because there's so many sponsors. I mean, there's a lot of sponsors in OCR, but there's also a lot of sponsors who won't even look at OCR because they don't want to be associated with the sport or whatever. Like Solomon, for example, like they won't like come near OCR with a 10-foot pole, which is funny because they actually make pretty good shoes for OCR. But I mean, I'm pretty committed to VJ, so like not that I would be sponsored by Solomon anyway, but Arc'teryx is a sweet brand. They make like the world's best outdoor clothing, and they won't.
Yeah, well, you can wear VJs, but still, you could still get a sweet Solomon pack or the Arc'teryx gloves or whatever, right?
I would love to be sponsored by Arc'teryx, yeah. But
all right, well, listen, just go win a few races.
Oh boy, we'll see how that goes, guys.
Will you be seeing our friend John at some of these? Albon, Monsieur Albon.
I asked him which races he's doing, and I don't think we're doing any of the same ones. If I make Sky Masters, then I'll see him there. But I will see Johnny Luna Lima and his girlfriend Bailey, because they're actually going to be at the first 2 Sky races. So I think we're going to like travel together and stay together and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about what was that one in California? What was that one in California that everyone did last year?
Broken Arrow. That was
yeah.
such a fun race. Oh my god, I love that race.
Are you going to do that one?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't fit in this year. I think it conflicted with. I forget what it was exactly, but it conflicted with something this year, which I was bummed about.
Have you ever looked at the Georgia Death Race, which is not to be confused with the Spartan Death Race?
No, I haven't.
You never have?
No. Tell me about it. What is it?
All right, so I'll read it to you. I'm surprised you or Ryan haven't done it. I don't want to get it wrong, so I want to make sure I get like the vert right and everything.
Okay.
And
is it like one of Joe DeSena's death races?
No. Nothing to do with Joe. It's actually coming up. It's always the end of March.
Cool.
Let's see. It's actually it actually not that I know you don't care about this necessarily, but it's actually become a Western States lottery and a UTMB qualifier.
Whoa, cool. Okay.
It's it's started by this guy Run Bum. A lot of people know him.
Run Bum?
Run Bum, yeah.
I thought you said Rum Bum.
That is that okay, here we go. So where's the overview? So 73 miles, 13K feet of ascent.
Okay.
I think there's way more. I thought there's way more than that.
13,000. Yeah. I'm converting that to meters too. Well, that's a lot. Like.
Yeah, maybe he said it meters before.
That'd be like 30. It's between 3,000 and 3,500.
Let's see. 13,000.
Wait, no, sorry, that's wrong. It's more than that.
13,000 feet to.
4 plus, which is a lot.
Hang on, let's look. Almost 4,000 meters. No, that's not a lot. Well, that can't be right.
4,000 meters? Well, I guess over 70 whatever miles. It's not that much, but like 4,000.
I feel like it was like 70,000. I feel like it was some ridiculous amount. I feel like I'm reading this wrong because everyone talks about how crazy it is.
That's pretty hefty.
I mean, put it to you this way. The winner does it, I think, in like 14 hours. So does that sound for a 74-mile race?
Sounds like it would be right up Ryan Atkins'.
That's what I'm saying. Like Ryan, I feel like Ryan would love it.
Yeah.
and
You're
it says it's 74, but sometimes it's closer to 76, kind of things.
right.
But I'm just surprised you guys haven't heard it. Like, some people have done
I'm
it.
sure he's heard of it. I don't know. He's more
Amelia did it one year. Some other random people have done it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll send you links.
Sweet.
Why does this overview? Point to point. Oh, the race is 70,000 miles with close to 28,000 feet of elevation change.
We don't enjoy 20.
And it's gorgeous. All these North Georgia mountains. I think you might be on parts of the AT for a second, or you cross it. Anyway, long way for me to say that eventually down the line, something to put maybe, in your race, to-dos,
Is that what you're going to do after your marathon?
No, that's the thing. I'm not really into the that kind of sufferfest. Like, I don't want to do anything with poles, basically. And you know what I mean? Like,
is that because they look super nerdy, or because you just?
No, like power hiking isn't fun to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the kind of challenge I like. You know what I mean? So I want to definitely do some ultras. Like, after Boston, I'm definitely going to start looking at what ultras I want to do. And certainly if you're going to go do a gorgeous ultra, there'll be some climbing and descending, but like hours and hours of fucking this. Cause remember, I'm not as fast as you. So it takes me a little bit longer. So hours and hours of this is not fun. Like, I want to have some, right. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't mind power hiking if I'm like going uphill. But if I have to start doing that on flats, then I kind of feel the same way.
Right. Like,
we're at 14 hours for the male winner. So like, what's that? And I don't know how long it would take the female winner, but it would probably take me somewhere around the realm of 20, which definitely means that I'm going to be power hiking for a large portion.
Let's check out Georgia Death Race results from ultra sign up. Let's go to. Sorry, I was incorrect. The fastest men have done it 10.5.
Oh.
12, 13 was the
Sweet.
the 10th fastest. Women fastest 13:30 to 15. Those So like Maggie Gooderl,
I like that then, because I could feasibly run for that whole time.
Okay, yeah, you could do that.
I mean, I'm probably wouldn't do it in 13 hours, but like, I think I could at least manage to like jog the whole time.
Right. But so it's going to take a guy like me 24, right? Like, the cutoff's probably 24, 28, and that's probably how long it's going to take me. And I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun to me. So maybe that will change as my life goes on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at this stage of my life, like, I want to do some 50 milers, some 100 milers. And again, like, if you're going to do a gorgeous ultra, I don't want to do the Florida, fastest ultra ever. Like, that does not appeal to me either. Like, I don't want to do just some boring flat race, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah.
You want like cool views, like a cool course.
Right.
Something memorable. Totally.
Right.
Which, it's kind of funny that you say that you want to do like 50 milers, like 100 milers, because that you're looking at the same pace. Like,
what do you mean?
I mean, that wouldn't 100 miler take like not 24 hours, but
no, 100
like,
miler.
It's gonna be power hiking.
A 100 miler would take me that long. Let me rephrase that. I'd like to do some 50Ks and some 50 milers, and then several years down the road, do 100 miler too. Like, I signed up for one in 2016 or 2014, and I DNF'd. I trained horribly for it. Looking back, it was like stupid to think I could have done it. It was one of those things where I felt awesome at mile 30, and mile 35, the wheels came off completely.
Oh man.
But at mile 30, it was like 8 hours in, and I was fucking cruising. I was like, this is awesome. Right? Like, I'm easily under the cutoff time. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying. Mile 35 was like, my body literally just like, I was in tears. And I got picked up by the fucking wagon. You know what I mean? I got picked up by
you had the first low of your race. You just never made it out.
Right, exactly. So what was I going to say? Anyway, So yeah, that's, I eventually want to conquer that. Like, okay, it kicked my ass. I want to conquer that.
Yeah.
But I want to do some 50K and some 50 milers, that kind of stuff.
That's exciting. It's exciting that you're like not even done your marathon, but you're already thinking of new goals. Too.
Well, I mean, I have done ultras before. I did that great race in Nicaragua, which is also fun. That's another one you guys should do. Like, that's super fun. They have a 50K and a 100K.
Cool.
And you go up a gorgeous volcano, and it's really fucking hard, but it's really fun.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I would do the 50. Ryan can do the 100.
Right? That would right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, people are going to say to you, hey, Lindsay, why did you want to start doing all these sky races?
I mean, I think I kind of touched on that a little bit already. I think just I like, primarily it's because I really love mountain running. Like, that's my favorite type of training to do. I realized that I was good at it. And then the courses are just like so cool. The views are spectacular. Like, you go all these cool places that normally like people would never let you race. Like, there's a couple of sky races that you have to wear a mountaineering helmet for, like bring ropes and like get roped up. And I just think, I don't know, it like combines racing with having really cool mountain experiences, or like mountain training days that are epic like that, or like Ryan and I will do them together, and it's always the most memorable and like my favorite training days. So just like to be able to do that alongside other people in a race, I think is a really cool, yeah, I don't know, I just think that's really cool. And then also just like, yeah, I mean, I kind of touched earlier on new competition, and just like the fact that it's going to be pretty hard for me to make a podium. So like, I think it just like will make me a better athlete too. Having, new people to strive after and new goals.
So you said you follow the sport. Are there a couple of names that you look at and you're like, oh, okay, I got to beat that girl? You don't have to mention them, but.
There's a couple of girls that not like that I'm like, oh, I gotta beat that girl, but like I'm like, oh, I wonder how I would do against her, or like, oh, the one race that I did in Italy, she like kicked my ass and I'd like to be closer to her this time. So yeah, there's people like that for sure.
Do you and Ryan ever talk about like, we're going to do OCR for 5 more years or 3 more years? Do you ever have that conversation?
Do you know what he threw at me the other day? He threw at me like our kid timeline, like how many years until he wants to have kids, which I was like, that's very unexpected. Because we always said that we like wanted kids, and it was like maybe one day, but we never like put a year on it or anything. So he said 2 years. I don't know if I'm gonna be ready in 2 years, which I thought he would be ready like a lot less soon than me. But I think it's different for the guy too, because he'll be able to just like continue racing and stuff once we have a kid.
Right.
Whereas like my life is gonna totally change. Yeah. And I'll probably have to take at least a year off. So like, yeah. So for me, it's sort of like, I'll have kids when I'm no longer gonna be a professional athlete. And for me, that's like hard to put a year on. So
have you seen how insane it makes you by looking at me and think, oh, I got to do that?
I know. Well, we spend a lot of time with our niece too. So like we have we've had like, for one weekend, we babysat her, and I was like, man, this is what life with kids would be like. We're like juggling our schedules around each other. So someone's always home with her, and like, yeah. And just like, you're like, oh, I'm really tired after training now. I want to sit and recover. Oh, guess what? You don't get to sit. You have to be like all hands on deck.
Right. No days off, bro.
No, exactly.
Dude, are you coming down with something?
No, I'm getting better from something. I just had pneumonia, like aggressively, legitimate pneumonia. I was diagnosed by the doctor and everything. And yeah, it sucked. So I had a rough last week, but we're coming out the other end of it. So I'm happy.
How's the sap doing?
Good. Yeah. I mean, it looks exactly the same as it did when I showed you earlier, because I just keep adding more sap to it. But, yeah.
Are you not cold?
No. It's pretty warm here right now. Like, it's above freezing out.
So what is it, 10?
Also,
is it 10 centigrade right now?
I would say like maybe 5. But, I mean, this building is pretty warm because we have these broilers going. So.
But there's no, like, it's open it's exposed, and there's no, it's open.
Yeah, it is. But there's essentially like a fire ripping inside here. And it's a pretty small building. So even though it's open and the air is venting through, it's still, I'm toasty warm.
How long is Ryan going to be gone on this fat bike adventure?
Like 2 weeks, but then when he gets back, I leave, so we overlap. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, I don't normally mind as much when he goes away. Not that to make that sound bad, but him and I, like, most couples, one person works during the day and they like don't see each other all day long. But him and I have the same job. We share a house. Like, we're literally together all the time. And so normally when he goes away, I like don't mind that much. I just like spend time with my girlfriends, and gives me like, I don't know, a little break. But this time he's like going away, and I guess because I don't have that many friends here and stuff yet, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Why'd you leave? I'm all sad about it. It's just kind of funny. I might go to our place in New York for a couple days because I have friends there, and there's a ski race, so I might do that.
Yeah. You might just like throw yourself in a ski race just for the heck of it.
It's a 50K too. It's not a short ski race. So yeah, I might. We'll see how the snow is.
What is the difference between this one and the last one? I feel like he did didn't he do a fundraising thing last year?
He did. This one is just further north. Whereas last one, I mean, was still really friggin' far north, but this one's even further. So this year they actually go through 2 polar bear national parks, which I'm extremely nervous about. Yeah, like they're pretty similar trips and stuff. It's just the one guy he does these with every year. His name's Buck, and he's like from proper northern Canada. And I think he just, I don't know, he's always like looking at cool places that he's always wanted to ride and do multi-day adventures and stuff like that. So he'll like pitch it to Ryan, because he knows that Ryan's like probably one of the few people in the world who's crazy enough to join him. So yeah. So I think this is their 3rd year now doing something like this. So yeah, who knows what it'll be next year.
What about old Crushel? Is he still around?
Kelsey?
Yeah.
Old Crushel. I'm going to tell him you called him that. I love it. Yeah, he's still around. He has a raging mullet right now. And I think maybe also a mustache. He's getting married soon. So he has this theory. This is like Ryan, who was the guy who was Ryan and I's best man at our wedding, basically. He has this theory that he's just going to look like a freaking dirtbag for like 6 months or something. And then the day of their wedding, he's going to cut off his mullet and shave his mustache. And then she'll think he's like the most handsome person in the world. And so there's no way that she'll say no and walk it while he's standing there at the altar.
That sounds like
a good theory.
Right? Good theory. And when is this big show going to air? When are we going to see this big eco challenge thing?
You know what? I don't know. And I know a lot of people have been asking Ryan, but I don't think he knows either. It was supposed to be around Christmas, and I think he just hasn't heard anything. So like, I don't know. We'll let you know if we hear anything.
Well, maybe I'll ask your buddy. Ian. Ian should know, right?
Ian probably would know. You know who else might know is Kevin Donahue, because he was actually there like as part of the filming crew in Fiji for this race. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask you about World OCR in Russia? I hadn't thought about it, but now that I just thought about it, am I allowed to ask you about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I had a pretty strong opinion on that I really didn't want it to be in Russia, which like who knows now with coronavirus if like what'll end up happening. But I was just about to get sidetracked there because about like the IOC and how they haven't even thought or said anything about moving the Olympics, which is in Japan. Anyway, back on track with Russia. Like, yeah, I had a really strong opinion that it should be moved, and I put together this whole athlete board, and we were kind of all of the same opinion, like expressing that none of us really wanted it to be in Russia. I think it just, I don't know, like I think it just reflects poorly on our sport. Like if we're trying to get our sport into the Olympics, and the Olympics has banned Russia from, you know, participating and so on and so forth, and then our sport's just like, yeah, we're gonna go have our world championship event in Russia. Like I think that just reflects poorly. And also I think our sport right now is like pretty free of doping. So what does that say about us? Like
as far as we know,
yeah, giving a carte blanche for, like, it basically is just like, oh yeah, giving a carte blanche for OCR to just condone doping, which I think is stupid. But so anyway, Ian Adamson actually met with the IOC, and there's all these rules and regulations in place for I guess events like Formula One had contracts already to have races in Russia, and there's like all these rules and regulations in place as to like what, you know, what events can still remain. And so Ian Adamson basically met with the IOC, and they told him to keep the event in Russia, just like still have it there. And so he kind of made the executive decision to continue with it.
I guess we should, I asked a question assuming everybody knows what your role is. Do you want to tell people what your role is?
Sure. So I'm on the athletes commission. The athlete advisory council would be like the proper wording for it. And so basically how that works is that there's two people from every continent who represent their country. Typically it's one male and one female. So for North America, it's Ryan Woods and I, who I keep telling Ryan like to join the group and join the discussions, but he keeps missing like the invites that I've sent him. Anyway, so he hasn't actually like been partaking in much as of yet. But I think, I don't know, I kind of recruited him because I thought he'd be really good at it. Like
that's actually, I think that's a wise move. And this is for just so people know what we're talking about. The organization called World OCR.
Yes.
Or is it also called FISO? I'm a little confused.
It's also called FISO. Yeah, FISO. Yeah, I know the acronyms. It took me forever to learn them. Like I literally had to make a document full of acronyms and what they stood for.
So your role, it's a volunteer position. Your role is to make sure the athlete's voice is heard on decisions around the World OCR events and rules and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And they have this in place we follow basically a standard that's set out by the IOC. So every sport in the Olympics essentially has the same format, and they have their governing body, and then within the governing body, there's, like the Athletes Commission, which is made up of the same number of people and two from every continent.
So you will be in, so if the event happens, you'll be there in Sochi.
Yeah.
Assuming it happens without any kind of crazy coronavirus or else.
Yeah, well, we'll see how coronavirus goes, because even though I feel like I'm sort of expected to be there, like if coronavirus is raging, I'm not going. I'm sorry.
You're in the safest place you can be. You're on a commune with 6 people. I think you're in good shape. The rest of us live in.
Maybe Ryan's in a safer place because, like, he's so far north that germs can't even live. It's too cold. So
right. Oh man, I had a thought there about that.
I hate when they do
that. Do we know that? Will they be able to have like a regular distance race? Because someone was saying like, it might only end up being like a short course.
No, they'll have a regular distance race. Yeah.
There'll be
there should be a. So I actually had a discussion recently with Ian about the lengths, because I think it was supposed to be a 3K, a 15-ish K, And then they're going to have a longer event too. But I don't think that's actually, the long event won't actually be in Russia. It'll be, and then now they're going to have a 24-hour race, which I think, I don't know. I think they're just going to like take, let's say like a I don't know, a Spartan Ultra Beast or something like that and turn it into like a World OCR commissioned race.
So wait, so the long distance, the 15K won't be in Sochi. It'll be somewhere else.
The 15K will be in Sochi. It's only like the 24-hour race that will be somewhere else.
Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sochi it was supposed to have a ninja course, but I don't think they're having that anymore. But they will have 100-meter, like a 3K, which I think I was trying to talk into actually making that like a 2K. I think in terms of a sprint race, like 3 is still kind of like borders too closely on like benefiting endurance athletes as opposed to a shorter course athlete.
When are they going to
open?
When are they going to open Reg? It's supposed to be in September.
They answered that in our like Facebook workplace group the other day, and I can't remember the answer. I can get back to you on that if you want.
Ooh, you can browse the webcams. Look at this. If you go to the Sochi, if you go to the World OCR and then go to World Championships and then go to Sochi 2020, there's a schedule of events. Friday will be the 3K short. Saturday will be the 12K and 100-meter. Sunday will be the 3K team relays and 100-meter finals.
There you go.
And then there's browse the mountain resort webcams for current conditions. I like that. That's exciting.
Sweet.
There's snow there right now. Would you believe that?
Yep.
I'm joking. It's Russia and it's dead of winter still.
Funny.
All right, Lindsay. Well, I think this was a good catch up. I hope everyone can hear the first 26 minutes. If not, I'll have to lose it. And it was very good stuff.
It was good stuff. Bummer. Too bad I didn't record anything. I know. You'll lose the chicken.
We talked about the chickens. Stacy came on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to see you for a while because I'm not going to Seattle.
Oh, no. Really? Oh.
Yeah. I will be at DecaFit in Denver.
Cool. That's exciting.
Is Ryan going to come out and crush it? I feel like it's in Ryan's strong ass wheelhouse to do DecaFit or High Rocks. Give old Hunter a challenge.
Yeah. I think he'd be really good at them. But, I talked to him about it and he worded it really well. He was like, you were there actually for that conversation. That's the night we watched Jurassic World. But he said,
I thought that was privileged. I thought that was privileged, bedroom conversation.
No, I think we can share that. But yeah, Ryan basically said, there's a million things that I would rather do with the weekend. I would rather be at home, quote unquote. I think he'd just rather be at home, like skiing.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I love that Ryan's so good. He could drop into something like that and do listen, you and I both know he'd either win or come in second to Hunter his first time out. That's just what would happen. And then, the next time he'd tweak a couple things and then probably win. That's just kind of how I feel. Well, or it's just, he'd get closer and closer. What's that?
I concur with that statement.
And it would just be fun, right? Because really Hunter right now is just like, no one's really kind of close to him. So it would just be fun to get old. Listen, I don't know if you heard me say this in Jacksonville, but I didn't pick you or Ryan to win in Jacksonville.
Oh, I know. Nobody did. There was like one person.
And now I am picking you guys the rest of the year.
Thanks, Matt.
I don't want to put pressure on you, but I'm not saying you can't be beaten because obviously you can, right? Obviously the competition between you and Nicole is really good right now.
Oh yeah.
A ton of guys can beat Ryan. But I think if he doesn't miss a spear, he's going to win. That's how I feel the rest of the year for Ryan. I mean,
yeah.
What's interesting is that, I heard, Bracken and these other guys talking about what Ryan does really well and why he won. And it's like, everybody knows this already. Like, we already know that it's not just about running really fast. It's about how quick can you do the obstacles and how quick can you transition from obstacle to running. Like, right?
You know what? And I think for like a race that short, like in a 5K, actually, I'm surprised I wasn't more nervous about it, because it really came down to like, especially in the men's field, like who runs a perfect race. And Ryan had a perfect race. But I mean, if he hadn't have had a perfect race, like the win could have gone to somebody else on that day.
Right.
So,
but I'm
like,
saying that the basic things that Ryan does well, because he works on them, is what everybody has the same information, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, they said if it's just a 5K running race, he's not even like the podium with that group of men, right?
Yeah.
But those men haven't learned how to do what he does, which is get through the obstacles really fast and then transition from landing to running again. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that really is what it is. And that's clearly what you and Ryan have worked on. And that's what makes you, what makes you the best at it.
He's better. I feel like that's like still one of my weaknesses. I have room to grow there. But
which part? Which part?
Like getting through obstacles really fast. I mean, we got better at it last year, but the women's field is a little notorious for like coming into an obstacle, standing there for 5 to 10 seconds, letting our heart rates drop, which I totally am guilty of doing. And I try not to do that in Jacksonville. But I think if you've got
a comfortable lead, Lindsay, which you do sometimes, like take that time. Why not? But if it's
because I'd rather take it than screw it up.
Right.
But also like that's becoming less, I don't know, available to me with Nicole sort of like pushing the, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Like you never know whether she's going to be in front of me or like right there with me or right behind me. Like, and it's something that I like need to start practicing because I don't really have the luxury anymore of just being like, oh, you know, like I can stand around for 10 seconds because I might not have 10 seconds to stand around. So that's cool. I feel like obviously that's good for the sport. It's good for the women's field. It's good for me.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on short notice. Yeah,
of course. I'm happy to. I get to do a podcast with Will Hicks tomorrow afternoon too.
God damn you. Now I'm going to have to put this up today.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to put his up like tomorrow either.
He will. He will.
Doesn't he? But he's an editor. He does editing. So.
I know, but
also like we're not recording till like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Like we both talked to Kyle, which I expected. Kyle from Tough Mudder. I mean, of course we're both going to talk to Kyle. But then he headed up like that afternoon, and I've got like 20 other podcasts going on. Yeah. So I don't turn them over like the same time. Like I might put up like, oh, I interviewed this guy a week ago or 2 weeks ago. But now, Lindsay, you're going straight up. You're going to be up before 5 p.m. today.
So no edits. If nobody can hear the first 25 minutes, then we apologize.
Listen. I'm going to clarify this for the audience. Lindsay, and I know you're a fan of mine, like as a person. I think, we know each other personally, right? So yeah. Even though you blew our private conversation while we watched Jurassic Park, it was sort of like a joke. Like Matt doesn't edit; he just puts it up, and he burps and passes gas and blah blah blah. And that was true.
But now that you're such a healthy eater, that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, that was true for a long time, right? And then so for example, if you hear my kids on a podcast, there could be 7 other minutes of my kids that you don't hear because they were coming in and out of the room, but I'll leave the one part where they come in and it was cute, right? I think that's sort of the point, right? If you don't notice it, it's really well done. So you know what? I don't care. Think whatever you want, people. You can think whatever you want. I know I'm putting out a quality product. And the thing is that they will point out mistakes. Like that's what's great about my audience is sometimes within minutes of putting up a podcast, I'll get a text from Charlie, my friend Charlie, and I know that it's something happened. Like, oh, you know,
your audio didn't work for the first 25 minutes.
Exactly. Something like that. So that's what's great about the audience. They will let me know. But you sound horrible, and I don't want to get your chicken coronavirus that you picked up from your chickens.
It's not contagious through the phone, I hope.
Okay. All right. We'll talk soon.
Who knows
Lindsay.
what's corona? So, okay, we'll talk soon. Thanks,
See you,
Matt.
See you. Bye.
Bye.